A warm welcome once again. Let me give you a strategic perspective of this M2M. I think it's not that complex or difficult as it looks, in our perspective. If we look at the global trends in the M2M, first of all, I think we need to redefine what is M2M. I think the basic definition has to be correct to have the right beginning. I would prefer to use the word Internet of Things, frankly, to completely replace the M2M. Just because of the fact that, you could have a device tied to a child in an amusement park, you could have a device, which is embedded somewhere, not necessarily in a machine, yeah. It could be various applications of M2M. So I think M2M or IoT, I would call it a very synonymous kind of thing. What's important is that if we look at the global perspective of how M2M has developed, I would like to take China as an example, where we have more than 140 million M2M users already. It's a huge, huge number considering this particular industry. What they have done, I think from government, policy and industry perspective, they have let M2M to proliferate just as an application. It's just another application. Think about it. We have today everything like voice, SMS, OTT services, so much of content, so much of applications, which are, I would say, running on traditional networks, traditional devices, so nobody is talking about it. But today, when you have to develop a new device for an M2M specific service, it could be a small device which is put on top of a battery, for example, of an automobile, which gives a continuous tracking of this particular vehicle and reports any dangerous goods or any particular location-based information, or even in terms of, I would say, an anti-theft insurance which comes along with the vehicle. So we see that, this is just involving addition of certain new elements. One is at the device layer. We need to have an M2M device that's embedded, either self-powered or powered by a battery, which is already as a part of the vehicle. And then we need some additions on the core network layer, something like a MSC, I would say, M2M HLR, and M2M GGSN, as all of you know about the core networks, which will track the billing and the tracking information of the end user along with the KYC and other policy. So it's just a question of having or migrating to a model which we foresee from Huawei perspective as a three-layer model, because we are present in the device, we are present in the network, we are present in the cloud. So I would claim that we are perhaps the only one who are present in all the three layers. So if we look at this new paradigm of IP networking, where we are migrating from traditional TDM services to IP-based networks, IPv6, and all the backhaul moving towards Ethernet, and all the addresses moving towards new IPv6 addresses, we see importantly operators and regulators, government, all of them looking at the transformation of the network into a three-layer strategic model. The first layer, what we call, is the cloud. The second layer we call is the network or the pipe, whatever you would like to call. And third is the devices layer. Anything you have today and tomorrow can be fitted into one of these three layers. This is very important to move towards this kind of flat networking in an IP era. Once we have this model in place, all the core network elements move to the cloud. So then we can have M2M to have a real focus. I think what's important in M2M in India, especially in the real scenario that M2M, as many speakers said earlier, is not a capacity-intensive industry. It's a connectivity or a reliable connectivity-intensive requirement. So what is important is that you need to have a good level of connectivity and a robust mobility. In China, for example, they've chosen 3G as a technology for M2M. It need not be LTE, not too expensive, and GSM globally is kind of reaching a saturation. I think many of you are aware that the global GSM demand is going down, gradually replaced by UMTS. So we look at 3G as a technology or an access technology where M2M can fit in very well because the cost per bit operations is the lowest. And it really helps in the proliferation of the overall ecosystem. So I come back to the three-layer model of the cloud, network, and the device. So the new, I would say, elements, the core network elements fit into the cloud. The network basically consists of the transmission, the IP core, and all the switching elements from the transport perspective, and then you have a device layer. So in this three-layer connectivity, we see that M2M is just another application of the cloud, very simply. Why I said focus was that M2M, you can do many things. There are a plethora of standards. There's so much of things you can do on M2M. You can do on smart grids, you can do on telematics, you can do on, you know, whatever applications in the healthcare, education, whatever. I think statistically, I have also said that before in my earlier speeches, that vehicle telematics globally contributes to 41% of the global M2M market, so it's very important. And the second one is the smart grids, which contributes about 23%. So these two together contribute a good 64% of the global M2M market, which is a lion's share. And both these are equally important in the Indian context, where we have also spectrum constraints. It's okay to have spectrum constraints. It's there in other countries, but it's not as much there in other countries as it is there in India. But okay, we are talking of a connectivity-focused industry here. So what's important is that we need to bring in focus to the M2M. Okay, we say that, okay, in India, let's start with vehicle telematics, period, to start with. So let's go deeper into this industry and develop an ecosystem. When we talk about an ecosystem, it's an ecosystem of device manufacturers like us who can develop specific devices for the telematics industry and embed it along with, I would say, a power source or a battery, sell it through the operators to the manufacturer, who in turn sells it to the end users, all of us, as a packaged service with embedded insurance or whatever. In China, for example, if you look at the vehicle telematics market, what they have done is, what we have done rather, is that we have set up for China Mobile, who has more than 40 million M2M subscribers, we have set up the M2M core network elements on the cloud. So, you know, the cloud is a very scalable, you know, platform where we have, they said that they want to focus on the vehicle telematics, so we put the M2M core network elements on the cloud, and we developed a specific device which is embedded on top of a battery and sold through China Mobile to the automobile manufacturers, who in turn sell to end users, consumers with, I would say, embedded services like, you know, anti-theft insurance, so many, you know, tracking services and stuff like that. So in the whole process, you see that the ecosystem develops, like the device manufacturer gets benefited, the operator is able to monetize because he's able to give a service which could be free for the first 2 years because you need to subsidize the service, and then from the third year onwards, you know, the customer starts paying for the service because you can see the value in it. So I think what's most important is that this is also something which I have mentioned to TEC in one of my earlier meetings, that we can pick up 2 or 3 top, industries and go deeper into these industries. I think it's a myth that we talk about interoperability in too many things. A vehicle telematics device need not be interoperable with a smart metering device. This is not required. What we insist is that at the platform layer, at the cloud or the application layer, you need to have a scalable network. Of course, I assume the broadband network is enabled. And then you have a group of network elements sitting on the cloud serving that particular application. And at the cloud layer, it's interoperable. That means a device is talking to the cloud, and another device is talking into the cloud. And the cloud enables a reliable, secure connectivity and an application ongoing. I think if we do this well, I think it's great. Nowhere we have standards today which says that, okay, this device is interoperable to the other device. Nowhere in the world it exists. So I think interoperability should be considered from the context of the application, from the context of the focus we are bringing into the industry. If Airtel or Tata want to launch a service, their device is managed by Tata Networks or Tata Teleservices as an entity. So they know exactly the customers or the users or the applications, and they are linked to their sister companies like Tata Motors or something, who are able to provide, these kind of services embedded along with that. Similarly, an Airtel launching the service may be having a tie-up with another telematics company or an automobile company and stuff like that. Okay, so this is broadly the perspective which I would like to bring on, and maybe we could have detailed discussions during the course of the meetings. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.